Right, hi class. Welcome back. This is week 2. So week 1, we had a lot of learning challenges. I'll leave it at that. I know many of you struggled finding ways of getting your textbook, of finding your access code, getting logged in, of understanding what LearnSmart is. And I'm hoping to address some of those concerns today, as well as in this video. I'm giving you a brief outline of what we will be tackling in week 2. So first off, at this point, as we are at the beginning of week 2, I hope that everyone has had success getting their textbook, finding their access code, and successfully logging on to our McGraw-Hill Connect/LearnSmart assignments. If you are one of those students who was unable to get through, please take this moment, pause this video, and shoot me an email letting me know that you are still having problems. I will figure out a way that we can communicate one-on-one, probably through telephone, so that I can walk you through, if necessary, that process to get you signed in. Because this is only an 11-week term, it's imperative for your success as a student, for your, not as important, but for many of you, very important, for your success in terms of a grade in this class, that you figure these things out as soon as possible. So again, if you are one of those students who has not been able to be successful in this endeavor, please pause this video and shoot me an email. Let's figure out a way to get you in. I hope the first week was successful despite all those things for you. I try to keep the reading and the assignments to a minimum. I've certainly enjoyed getting on and seeing many of your videos. We seem to have a class full of people of varying ages, of varying backgrounds and experiences. I know that there's probably much that I will learn from you, and I hope that you guys can learn from each other. Please use each other as resources. You'll find beginning this week, as we begin integrating discussion board forums, that over time you'll get to know each other, especially know each other's work and quality of insights and intellectual engagement. And I hope that you're able to rely on each other for feedback and for questions, and more importantly, to allow each other to teach one another, to allow other students to teach you. Again, in a class as important as this one, where there are so many important experiences and backgrounds and heritages, it's important that we remain open-minded and allow our predispositions, our assumptions, that we leave them on the doorstep, and that we allow ourselves to be open to alternative modes of thinking. So I encourage you to do that with this course, with the materials that we look at, and of course with each other. This week, as I said, we will begin our first discussion board forums. Just so you are aware, discussion boards are generally due on Wednesday nights. Typically, unless otherwise stated, your writing response should be around 300 words. My goal with these assignments is to take the materials from the textbook and the themes that we're tackling and look for current real-world application. Now, often, many of the discussion board forums will ask you to provide in a form an opinion. Now, we live in a day and age where opinions matter. Of course they matter. But that you have an opinion doesn't matter. We all have opinions. What is important for this class, and I think in general, is that you're able to support your opinion. Right? We all have ideas, but we want to ensure that our ideas are cemented in historical facts, that we have evidence to support our assumptions, and that we're not just willy-nilly shooting off our hips saying, oh, this is what I think, and because I'm a person, that matters. That's true, but for this class, as we are looking at ways of engaging with critical thought, it's important that you have support. So please, with your opinions, ground them in textbook, in information that we are studying, in terms and ideas from this course, right, to make your argument more persuasive. After you post on Wednesday, I also, in order to make this discussion board more of a community where there is an actual discussion going on, I'm asking you to go back after Wednesday, before Sunday night, and respond to two of your classmates Now, I set that as a minimum. In my preferred world, I'll have each of you going on, reading each other's works, providing comments and feedback, suggesting ways that they can improve, maybe alternative ways of thinking that they may not have considered. What I do not want, and let me make this perfectly clear, I do not want a bunch of discussion board responses that are like, wow, great job, wow, that was a good thought, man, your writing is so clear. I see that those are unnecessary pats on the back, and that's not what the forum is about. The forum is to engage with ideas. So if someone has posed an idea, your job is to engage with that, fight that idea, combat it, support it, provide alternative perspectives. And that's how I will be grading the quality of your responses, not on whether or not you made 3 responses or 2 responses in the week, but in how well you're able to engage with the idea presented by your colleagues. So again, by Wednesday, your discussion board forum responses due, and then by Sunday, I expect 2 responses to 2 of your colleagues. Once someone responds to you, please feel free to respond back, especially if they posed a question. Again, my goal is to make this into a community. All right, this week we are looking at 2 chapters from our textbook, chapters 4 and 5. And just briefly, I wanted to give you an overview of some of the main things that we'll be looking at this week. First, I want to be clear that when we are talking about the slave experience, the black slave experience in America, while slaves share one thing in common, and that is that they are slaves, by virtue of location, geographic location, what we see is that there are many experiences that depending on location, whether you're in the New England area, Mid-Atlantic, in the Chesapeake, along the southern eastern seaboard, or in the deep south, the Mississippi Basin, right? Depending on the location that you would be a slave at, your experience as a slave would be very different. And so, when we're talking in the 18th century about the institution of slavery and the experience of slaves, it is difficult to provide a blanket statement to summarize how everyone was experiencing slavery. Again, because everyone's experiences were different. That is true regionally, geographically, but even within specific regions, while it may be easy to put a blanket statement and say, this is how it was done along the eastern seaboard, there are a lot of small factors that would change an individual's experience based off of the plantation that they worked on, the size of the operation, their gender, their age, etc. So I want to be clear that there was not a single slave culture in America, and that differed. I also want to highlight that another way that things differed for slaves based on region was their interactions with whites. Depending again on location, in the Deep South, slavery, the institution of slavery, was very segregated. In the North, however, and yes, there was slavery in the North. Please don't assume that this is only a Southern institution. There was slavery all the way up into the North, but their experiences with white people was very different. And so I want to make sure that we keep that in mind. I know often we think about slavery in terms of Southern slavery, but through the 18th century, we will see that as far north as the New England states, that slavery did exist. And I think it's really fascinating to look at the ways that slavery was abolished in the North. But then, given that abolishment, how then did Northern whites treat the newly freed black slaves in the North? And what we see, and we'll talk much more about this later in the term, is that the experiences of those freed black slaves in the North will mirror the experiences of the freed black slaves in the South after the Civil War. And we'll see very similar responses by the white population to those freed slaves. We'll see, for instance, after the abolition of slavery in the North, an immediate increase in violence, white violence towards freed black slaves. We'll see this in terms of riots, police brutality, beatings, and the way that laws are enforced. And we'll see very similarly in the South, many chapters from now, the same type of intimidation, same type of violence, of outbreaks of riots, as freed black slaves begin to make space for themselves, their families, and to insist upon the same rights protected by the Constitution. This is the material that we'll be looking at this week. Again, you'll be assigned chapters 4 and chapters 5. There is a discussion board as well as a writing assignment due on Sunday. As always, if you have any questions about the assignments, about the materials, or just about life in general, please feel free to email me. My email address is brantelsworth@centralpenn.edu. Otherwise, my contact information is in the syllabus. Please, 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 do not hesitate to reach out to me. I feel very isolated from you, my student. I sit here in my building, and I don't get to interact with you except for the few times that you reach out to me. So please don't be a stranger. Let me know what you're going through, what challenges you're facing. All right? Thank you very much. Enjoy this week, and we'll talk to you again.